Hello everyone, I'm the Saxy Gamer. Today we're here for yet another Civilization 6 Wonder Spotlight, where today we will be taking a look that is very similar in nature to the last wonder that we took a look at, and today we're looking at Cristo Redentor. So Cristo Redentor is a wonder that is unlocked with the Mass Media Civic. This does make it another modern era wonder. Also, just as a side note, I think we are down to within the last 10 wonders that we have for this series, so we're almost to the end, and at the end I'm going to compile all of the things into a big old spreadsheet, and I will do put that up on Google Drive and share it with you all, or just make it open, so that way you guys can see everything kind of all in one place. But once again, I'll do that right as I finish the last of the wonders, probably in the next few weeks, I would assume. But anyways, back to Cristo Redentor. As I mentioned, it is unlocked with the Mass Media Civic. So to get the Eureka for Mass Media, all that you have to do is research radio, which is something that's very simple to do. And if you're going for Cristo Redentor, you might have done this just because Cristo Redentor does give bonuses to seaside resorts, and seaside resorts are unlocked with radio, so chances are you'll probably be prioritizing getting to radio if you're planning on building this wonder as well. So either way, very easy Eureka to get. As far as its building requirements are concerned, they too are very simple. All you have to do is put it on a hill, and it can be any hill tile. It can be grasslands, plains, desert, whatever. As long as it's on a hill, it's going to be good. So you're going to have this in pretty much every single city, and the only thing to keep in mind with this is that this also means that pretty much everybody else in the game is going to be able to build Cristo Redentor. As far as its production cost is concerned, it costs 1,620 production, which is the standard for the modern era wonders. Moving on to Cristo Redentor's bonuses, it does have a few of them. So for one, it is going to provide you with +4 culture. So this is something that is fairly decent. +4 culture isn't bad, but obviously it's not going to be that worthwhile if it's going to cost you 1,620 production. But luckily for Cristo, it does have other bonuses. The second bonus that you get is that tourism from holy sources is no longer diminished by the Enlightenment Civic. This is something that I'm sure a lot of you probably didn't know, and it's something that I forget about a lot of the time, but the Enlightenment Civic actually makes it so that the tourism that affects you from other players is halved whenever it's coming from religious sources. So that would be things like relics or holy cities. Whenever you research the Enlightenment, the effect that other people's religious tourism has on you is halved. So I know that's a little bit confusing. I'm pretty sure I talked about it in the culture victory video if you want to go and check that out. But either way, with Cristo Redentor, it removes that bonus, so now your holy sources will still have full effect on all other players, regardless of whether they've researched the Enlightenment Civic or not. This is something that I think is very, very not impactful. The amount of sources that you can get holy tourism from is very low. For one, you get it from your holy cities, and you get it from relics, and I'm pretty sure those are literally the only two sources that you can have in the game. So if you're playing someone that has a lot of relics like Khmer or possibly Poland, then maybe this will be useful, but aside from that, I very rarely ever build Cristo for that reason. The final and fortunately really good part of Cristo Redentor's bonus is that it doubles tourism from all seaside resorts. So for those of you who don't know, seaside resorts are based on the tourism that they produce is based on the appeal of the tiles that they're on, so doubling that normally means that you will get an additional 3 or 4 tourism from every single one of your seaside resorts. This is really good because if you think about it, the minimum requirement to put down a seaside resort, I believe, is either 3 or 4 appeal, so that means you're going to be getting at least 3 or 4 more extra tourism from every single one. And if you have even, say, 10 seaside resorts in your land, that's going to be 40, and then that just ends up getting stacked up even more whenever you consider things like the bonus to tourism that you get from computers, or for some of the other civics that give you those percentage-based bonuses to your overall tourism output. As I talked about in the Eiffel Tower video, this does also work with the Eiffel Tower, so getting the +2 appeal on all the tiles makes it so that you effectively turn it into +4 additional tourism if you have Cristo Redentor, and then that once again gets even increased a little bit further with those other techs and civics. So you can very easily see how just if you're able to put down a lot of seaside resorts, Cristo Redentor can be absolutely insane for increasing your tourism output. Let's go ahead and move on and give Cristo its tier ranking. So if you're new to the series, all that you really need to know here is that these ratings go on a 1 to 5 scale, with 1 being the worst and 5 being the best. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and give Cristo its overall rating, and for that, much like the Eiffel Tower, I think that it deserves a 5. It is easily one of the best wonders in the game for culture victory. That's a big asterisk there, is that it's very useful for culture victory, pretty much useless for everything else. But So as far as its use cases are concerned, there really is only one, and that's to get a huge boost to tourism from your seaside resorts. So if you don't have a lot of coastal tiles and you're relying more on national parks than seaside resorts, then this wonder maybe isn't going to be as useful as the Eiffel Tower, but still in most games, if you're playing Culture Victory, if you play Culture Victory anything like me, you're going to be settling towards the coast anyways with the idea of getting seaside resorts, so in any Culture Victory, this will be fairly useful. But as I had mentioned before, this wonder is really good just because it stacks up with a lot of other bonuses that you can get. So if you get those great engineers that will give you extra appeal on tiles in cities, or if you build Eiffel Tower, or anything like that that can also boost the seaside resort tourism, then this wonder will stack with that and amplify the effects of all of those other things. So very quickly you can end up with a huge boost to your seaside resort tourism. And if you have a lot of spots for seaside resorts, this can give you literally hundreds of extra tourism in a single game. For its difficulty rating though, I think it does deserve a 4. It is fairly difficult to build just because it has very easy building requirements, so as we talk about all the time, any wonder that has easy building requirements is you're gonna have to be competitive for it because the deity AI will place it down pretty much as soon as they can, and Cristo is no exception to that rule. So if you are gonna be going for this wonder, which I would highly suggest you do if you're going for Culture Victory, you do have to be very aggressive in building it early. And for its consistency rating, I think it deserves a 3. It has a lot of the weaknesses that the Eiffel Tower does in terms of consistency, so as I mentioned there, it is very good for Culture Victory, but also it's not good for pretty much any other victory, so for that reason, it's a little bit less effective in all cases. The other issue is that if you don't have a lot of spot for seaside resorts, then this wonder is going to be kind of bad. I mean, obviously, if you don't have any coastal tiles at all, this wonder is going to be absolutely, well, not absolutely useless, but practically useless because the other bonuses besides that doubling of tourism are pretty bad in comparison to everything else. So for those reasons, there are some games where you really can't make a lot of use of Cristo Redentor and it's not as good. So I think that it should deserve the 3 in consistency. So thank you everyone for watching. I have been the Saxy Gamer. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to like. If not, feel free to dislike. If you're looking for some more Civilization 6 content, feel free to subscribe. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.